When I was 23 years old, all anybody wanted to ask me was, what do you do for a living? And what was my response? My response was, I do awesome. I'm Steve Armato, and I started this podcast to interview awesome people who build awesome lives. So now, let's do awesome.
Brigitte, welcome to Doing Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, even after technical difficulties happened.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be in your podcast hands, talking to your community. And yes, technical difficulties on my part, obviously, not yours.
Listen, it happens. Sometimes these things happen. Technology is not perfect. So it just sometimes it's that you do have to update the computer, though.
I do. I know. That was not what I was expecting. That was not a financial situation I was expecting. But yes,
Yeah,
I will be getting a new Mac.
It's tough when you come to the realization that you need one. You're like, I just wanted to let it go just a little bit longer. But well, listen, so I wanted to have you on the show because you're, a little background for everyone listening. Brigitte is in my networking group. She is a registered dietitian. She's also a just awesome person, which is why she's on the show. And I wanted to have you on because I wanted you to, talk about your journey because I feel like a lot of people could get value out of, the things that you do and like how you've grown and what your journey's been like. So where did it all start? Where did it all start that you wanted to actually start your own business and become an entrepreneur?
It's a great question. Thank you so much for having me. I also think you're awesome. So I'll start with, I'm actually a career changer. When I first graduated college, I was in fashion PR and event planning, and I spent 4 years in that. When I did decide to go back to school to become a registered dietitian, I kind of always knew I wanted to end up in private practice. I didn't know how I was going to get there or what that really looked like. But growing up, my father is a surgeon. He's always had his own private practice. And so that was like modeled to me. And that's what I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going to go into healthcare and I'm going to have my own practice. And that's what it's going to be. I was very naive.
Hey, when we all start, we're all naive. It's okay.
Right. I was extremely naive. But when I did, and we can talk through shifting, deciding to change careers and what led to me changing careers into nutrition. But once I did become a registered dietitian, I started off working in a clinical setting. I was at Mount Sinai Medical Center. I worked there, and I will say, within 4 years of becoming a dietitian, I opened my own practice, which was a total epic, incredible dream come true. And that I still have this thriving practice 8 years later is even more of an incredible dream come true. But yeah, I was naive AF. Can we curse? Do we curse?
You can curse.
I was naive as fuck. I didn't know what I was doing.
Nobody knows what they're doing though when they first start.
Right.
We're all naive in some way because we all think we're just going to go into business and be successful right away. So we all have that, right? And there's ups, there's downs, there's wins, there's losses, and you just gotta weather the storm. I really do think that just if you just keep going, you will have success. Like a lot of people just quit super, super early. And
Yes.
I just don't, you have to have thick skin to do this. And actually to do that within, you said 4 years?
Yeah.
To do
4
that
years.
within 4 years is very, very impressive. But what type of clients do you work with in what you do?
Yeah. I will also say something else too that I think helped me go is that I came to terms with the fact that I'll never actually be ready. I'll never actually know enough. Like if I keep waiting to know enough to feel the most confident to like feel like, no, I'm not naive anymore. I got this. I would never actually start and launch it. So
Absolutely.
One pro tip, like don't wait till you know enough. There's never the perfect time.
And you're never gonna know. I mean, you're never
Right.
gonna know enough anyway.
You're never gonna know enough. It's an impossibility.
Learn as you go.
So I work with busy, on the go, high achieving women looking to feel great in their bodies. most women come to me either for GI health or for weight management, to lose weight, gain weight. But I would say that the common denominator is they don't quite feel like themselves, and they want to feel like themselves again. They want to feel really, really good in their skin, really comfortable and confident in their clothes. Yeah. So, but my client is like the busy, on the go, high achieving woman.
Yeah, that's so if you're with that type of clientele, I feel like sets you up to work with people that are very goal oriented and
Yes,
goal driven. So, and
for sure.
how do you help them set basically nutrition and diet goals? Because they have goals for everything else. I'm sure they have goals for this, but like you have to set them in place for them. How do you
Yeah,
do that?
absolutely. I will say it's so funny. Like, I find that human beings, especially like our generation, are so obsessed with like being their own special snowflake, being treated like their own special snowflake, except when it comes to their diet. When it comes to their diet, they want to eat exactly what everybody else is eating. Their sister, their brother, Kim Kardashian, J-Lo, right? Like they want to eat, right? Exactly what everybody else is eating. So first and foremost, a woman who understands that what is going to work, what works for J-Lo isn't really going to work for her, right? And what works for her best friend, like, isn't going to work for her. Maybe she's tried that for a while and she's not seeing the same results. She's not feeling the same way. So someone who understands, like, no, I need my own, I am my own special snowflake. I need a diet and an approach that matches me for me. And I will just say that when I use the word diet, I just mean the foods that make up your life, not like a special, like a particular diet that you're on to lose
Right,
weight.
right,
But yeah, so my clients come to me with really the goal of losing weight. We'll take that one. It's not so much like a specific number that they come to me with. The majority of women, they usually come to me looking to get back to their pre-pregnancy weight, or they're recently like going through perimenopause, and they're like, I don't understand, like the way I'm eating is all of a sudden, like, I've gained 10 pounds, my eating habits haven't changed. So their goal is really ultimately to get to a place of knowing what to eat, not so much like, I want to lose 10 pounds. And a lot of them maybe do want to lose 10
right,
pounds. But yeah, so we what we do is I try to understand, because they are their own special snowflake. I try to understand what their lifestyle is currently like, what their day to day is like, what their routine is like, so that I can make eating nourishing foods fit really seamlessly, and
right.
taking care of themselves feel really like easy for their day. The last thing we have so many things on our to-do list. Taking care of ourselves tends to be the last one. So how can I make it easier for you? How can I make it user friendly for my clients?
That's great. That's great. I like that too. Because I pay attention to some of the posts, and I see your posts, and I see
Thank
the
you.
things you talk about, and how you don't have to eliminate the, like, you could have fun still, even though
Hell yeah.
you're trying to lose weight. And so, like, on that note, like, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that not even just women, just people in general have when trying to get healthy?
100%. Such a great question. And thank you for following along and
Yeah.
seeing me. Um, I think the biggest misconception when it comes to weight loss is everyone is hyper focused on what they're taking out. They gave up carbs, they gave up dairy, they gave up sugar, they're not eating fruit, they don't eat bananas, right? Like, right, we're in January right now, so it's dry January. Like, everyone is giving up XYZ things to lose weight. And that is the biggest mistake. Your weight and your health and your long-term health, because weight loss is just one part of it, but we want to
Right.
keep that weight off. We don't want that weight to come back. So what that means and what we want to focus on is, what are you adding in? What are you eating? What is making it onto your plate? That is going to outshine and be way more important than anything you're taking out, which is why I don't focus on what we're removing, because I want you to be able to eat all the foods. It's not you one eating cookies is not what's getting in the way of your weight loss, right? How are we eating the cookie? our association with the cookie, if we're telling ourselves that we're bad or we deserve it, or like our language around the cookie is getting in the way of our weight loss. And what else is making it into our life, into our day, aside from that cookie?
Right, right. So I get that. So there's definitely, and you could tell me if I'm wrong on this. I remember when I was training, playing, I played baseball in college, and I was training with someone who actually he still trains me, and he was on this podcast. But he used to say he never gave us like rules of eating or dieting. He just gave us like a list of 5 things that we should worry about. It was probably a little longer than 5 things, but one of those things on that list was when you cheat, like it, because apparently, and I don't know if this is true, but he said there's like a psychological thing that when you say you want the dessert or the cookie, as a good example because you used it, you want the cookie and then you eat it, and instead of saying, "Oh wow, I feel terrible that I just ate that cookie," he said, "No, like it, because psychologically your body, it has a worse effect on your body when you're like, no, I shouldn't have eaten that." Is there truth behind that?
There's total truth behind that. 100%, 100%. So I like to say, so if we love cookies, and chocolate chip cookies are one of my favorite desserts, I would never not eat them. So what I like to say is there are 2 ways that one could eat a cookie, right? We can tell ourselves like, oh, I was so good today, quote unquote, I deserve this cookie. Actually, there are 3 ways. I was so good today, I deserve this cookie. Or, oh, I was so bad today, it doesn't matter, I'm going to eat this cookie, right?
Right.
Both of those ways end with you feeling guilty about the cookie. Both of those ways are like you feeling, I'm doing something wrong. This isn't right. I can't actually do this and still pay attention to my weight goals, right? And then the third way is I'm going to plan for this cookie. I'm going to look forward to this cookie. I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of this cookie. And then when it's done, I'm not going to think about it again. And
I like
yeah.
that
And
one.
so that's the one that we want. That's the one we want for everything. Like if you're going to, right, what your the person you were referred to as cheating, if you are going to treat yourself to something a little bit more indulgent, right? Not like a mainstay that we're going to have at every single meal,
Right.
but something a little bit more indulgent. We want to plan for it. We want to like work it into our day. I want to know, so I'm going out to dinner tonight. Am I going to have dessert there? Yeah, maybe I am. They have the best chocolate chip cookies in the city, so I'm going to have one.
You're eating those, like
I'm eating it, right? But I know that at the start of my day. I know that before I have breakfast that I'm going out to dinner tonight and then I'm going to have dessert. So at the start of my day, I factor that in throughout everything else I'm eating, right? I'm not also having dessert or something sweet right after lunch. I'm waiting to get to this dessert after dinner, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. And then when I'm excited about it and I get to eat it, it's more, I don't like this word. I'm going to come up with a different word, but it feels more rewarding or satisfying. Let's not use the word reward. It's more satisfying because I've planned for it and it feels intentional. It feels mindful versus these like impulse buys, right? You're grabbing something at the office or, you had a shitty day. And so as you're walking through Starbucks, you get their cookie, right? Like it's way more satisfying when you have it in a way that you've planned for it. And when you do plan for it, the rest of your day gets to look really, what I call like body nourishing. And so you're not going against your goals, you're working towards your goals because the rest of your day is the produce and the protein and the healthy fats. And so the cookie gets to just be a part of it. The booze or whatever just gets to be a part of it. So yeah, like I consider foods either like body nourishing, they give us energy, they give us vitamins, they give us minerals, right? You can call them also nutrient dense foods. And then soul nourishing, like the cookie. Because I do believe it's also healthy for us to have sweets and treats, and whether you are a sweet person or a savory person, whatever your treat is, that's essential for your well-being. So I call that soul nourishing.
Like that. I like that. I love food, so I really like hearing it.
Same.
But I also I do so that's actually I now I got these questions just spinning off the top of my head. So when you're saying plan for it, are you big onto like tracking, having people track stuff? Because I've noticed in the past, I mean, my wife, we've done it, like we've tracked when we've tracked, we've had good progress. Like the progress has shown when stuff has been tracked. And then when you go off tracking, because you don't, I mean, you don't realize like there are things you eat that are technically healthy, but you don't realize how much, like how many calories are still in it. So like, do you focus on that? Like, because when you're talking about planning, so is that part of it too?
That's a great question. So yes, I do encourage my clients to keep a food journal.
Okay.
But on this food journal, we are not calorie counting,
Okay.
right? We're not macro counting. So what we're tracking, what we're keeping in touch, like paying attention to, what I want, generally speaking, and this is going to be different for everybody, but the like tenets of a supportive, nourishing diet is to make sure that you are having a fiber and a protein every time you eat.
Okay.
So fiber, we find fiber in three things: whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. So making sure that you have one of those things at every meal. And then our protein sources, people are a little bit more familiar. There's lots of talk about protein. So you know your proteins, making sure whether it's a plant protein or an animal-based protein, you're having a quality protein also every time you're eating. So when my clients are keeping a food journal, when they're writing down foods, not
Okay.
numbers,
Okay. That's
right?
cool.
They're writing down chicken, eggs, turkey, lentils, edamame. They're writing down the apple, the banana, the salad, right? This vegetable soup. They're writing down in terms of foods because our bodies are not calculators. So thinking in terms of numbers is not
Okay.
really beneficial. But thinking in terms of compounds and foods and nutrients is beneficial because our bodies are chemistry. We
I
are
like
made up of chemistry.
I like how that sounds too.
Yeah.
That's good too. Yeah. And then like with all right, so with protein now, you said, a plant-based protein versus an animal protein. Is there a difference in quality of protein between the two? I know there's a lot of debates on this. I'm not an expert in this field. You're an expert, so I want to ask you, like, you're the expert here. Is there a difference in quality between like an animal protein versus a plant-based protein? That I guess depending on what it is.
Yeah, that's a fabulous question. So yeah, yeah, for like a simple answer, yes.
Okay.
But what I will say is that you can have quality sources of animal protein. Generally speaking, the more plants you eat in your life, the better for you. So the more plants you have will always trump animal-based sources just because you're getting the variety of vitamins, minerals, nutrition you're getting from eating a lot of plants is very, very beneficial.
Okay.
So generally speaking, eat more plants. Now, when we're working in animal proteins, we can 100% have a healthy, thriving, nourishing diet that includes really quality animal-based proteins. What that looks like is more fish, for sure, right? Eggs are fabulous. If you do eat dairy, if you tolerate dairy, having some plain Greek yogurt is beneficial, working that into your life. And then keeping the proteins that are higher in saturated fat more limited. So the beef, the dark meat chicken, right, duck, having those in fewer quantities. So but you can eat all of them. And in America, our
Huh.
farming is a little bit, a
It's a little
little bit.
shiesty. It's a little
Uh-huh.
shiesty.
It
Yeah.
is. So we want to look for grass-fed beef when we're having it. We want to look for wild caught fish when we're having it. We want to look for, right, like free range chicken, eggs, right? We're looking for like the organic processes when it comes to our animal proteins. So if also true for dairy, if you drink cow's milk, yogurts, cheese, we're looking for the organic versions in our country. They'll just be
Right.
a little bit better quality.
Right. It's hard. Not that it's, I mean, it's harder to find them in certain areas,
Yes.
I guess. With that, I mean, I try it, like we try to only eat like, just like you said, when it's that type of meat, especially fish too.
Yeah.
Like fish, I feel like fish, the thing that makes it hard is you could find them, but that stuff is like wild caught salmon is like triple the price of farm raised salmon, and but the color and the quality is it's a totally different thing. Like if you look, like you know this, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
everybody knows this. When you look at it just from the eyes, nothing else, and you're staring at a wild caught salmon, it's like dark orange, and it's like got a lot of color to it. And then you look at like a farm raised salmon, and it's like light pink almost.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not even remotely, it doesn't even look like the same fish, but they're telling you it is. But it's like, how do you, so how do you go about, even with produce too? Because I know
Yeah.
there's different ways of like, I mean, where it's kind of fucked up what goes on here with farming and the way things are made and whatever. That's a whole podcast in itself. But so how do you go about helping them kind of do you help them put a plan together, like find these quality, basically ingredients, quality produce at places? Do you or at certain areas? Do you help them do that, or you just tell them like this is what you need to be looking for?
A little bit of both. So it depends on the client. It depends
Okay.
on where they live, what their financial situation is. Like it depends on them totally. What I will say, and what is drastically more important, it is more important for you to eat salmon than it is for you to eat only organic salmon,
Okay.
only wild caught salmon, right? So like it is, if you can get salmon, great, get the salmon. Get it, right? We also have no idea when we go out to restaurants, we have no idea where
No,
that salmon is coming from.
not a clue. No.
Right. So it is more important. It is better for your health, your weight, your gut, your heart health, your cholesterol. It is better for everything for you to eat salmon, period,
Okay.
regardless if it's wild or not.
Got it.
So, so that's number one. So that's what I would say. So, and when I'm starting to work with someone, also what I'm looking for, like in our first session, I do what I call a integrative lifestyle recall, which is part of, understanding who they are, what's going on for them. And I'm looking for if they have like their nutrition bases covered. So if this is someone who like isn't really eating much protein at all, well, then again, for you, I just want you to eat salmon.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. We can get into the nitty gritty if we're working together for like 2, 3 months and you're like, great, my salmon is like down pat. Cool. And now maybe if we wanted to get more specific, we can be like, okay, now, the times that you are cooking it at home, look for the wilds.
Right.
And then when you're eating out, you're going to eat out and great, enjoy it.
Right. Right.
But really what's more important is that you're eating salmon, period.
Got it.
And that's true what I would say for like the dairy also, the white meat chicken, like don't get caught up. Don't get it like, oh, I can't get the organic, so I'm not going to get it at all. No, still buy it, still get it, still cook it and eat it. And when it comes to saving some money, I think if you have a Trader Joe's in your area, the Trader Joe's salmon is great.
Yes.
I think also their chicken, their beef, all of those things, they're well priced and they're quality. So go there, but you can also go to the frozen food section. The frozen vegetables, the frozen fruit, the frozen proteins, they're great. They're much less expensive than the fresh.
Yes.
And they'll last. And all that means is that you're not putting it in a salad, right? You have to cook it. So you'll cook the veggies. The fruit you will blend in a smoothie.
Right.
Right? And the proteins, you're going to cook them up anyway. So check out, don't be afraid. Frozen is fabulous. Canned veggies have a lot of salt in them.
Okay.
So we want to like veer away from the canned when we're looking to save money and go more towards the frozen.
Okay.
But when it does come to money too, the like beans and the plant proteins are way cheaper and also really, really beneficial for your protein as your protein source. Really beneficial for your brain health, your muscles, all of the things.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So I guess now, well, so with that, right? And this is good because, like I said, you're the expert on this. And when it seems like you don't want your clients or just in general people to like get stuck into like, I'm gonna call it, I don't know if I want to call it this, but I guess this is what they are, like kind of like fad diets where
Mhm.
it's like goes into like whatever, keto or carnivore or whatever that fad diet may be, whether vegan, whatever it is. But it seems like you are more about a whole, like I guess a holistic approach
For sure.
to dieting. And like what are your thoughts on these other diets? Because I feel like they're not long-term solutions is kind of what I'm feeling like. But
Yeah, 100%. And what something else I want to say is that what I'm interested in, again, like I said, um, a little while ago, is I want to make this easy for you. The easier it is for you, the more you're going to do it, the more solidified in like, the more it becomes your MO, the less you have to think about it. It's just like, oh, now this is my new lifestyle. This is just how I do things. If it's harder for you and I make more hoops for you to jump through, it's not, we're never going to create healthier habits. So it's a lot easier for you just to look for salmon than for it is for you to look for organic salmon. And if something else to keep in mind, I think, whether you with whomever you're working with, if you have a nutritionist, a dietitian, whatever fad diet that we're going to get into, whatever like approach you are doing, here's something to think about. If the like the approach of it is stressing you out, it's not wellness. Right? If it's
yeah,
causing you stress, if it's stressful to go food shopping because you're like, I can only get this and it's so expensive, or if it's stressing you out, it's no longer wellness. So keep that in mind with anything that you're doing and moving through. Now, the fat diets. So it depends. I'm also a big believer in the question, if I wasn't trying to lose weight, would I still do this?
okay.
So
Okay.
if you weren't trying to lose weight, so let's say my problem with keto is that like there's so many
Well,
products market, but
yeah, I
like
mean, there's
no,
probably,
no,
I
no,
mean, there's
but
problems
there's
with a lot of it.
with so many. But if you're like, I'm only giving up pizza because I'm trying to lose weight, but normally you would never give up pizza, then this is not a long-term approach for you. Right? If you're like, um, I'm eating more kale and I want to lose weight, but I would always eat more kale. Like I'm eating more than I normally do, but I always eat kale anyway. Then this works into your life,
Right.
right? Like, oh no, I like eggs. Okay, I'm going to eat them more frequently because I'm trying to lose weight. So cool. Um, there's a big difference between, am I doing this just to lose weight, or would I do this anyway?
That's a great way to put it. Because usually people just do it because I'm trying to lose weight. That's how
Right.
they that's how they approach it. And they're like, I'll do it for 2 weeks. I'll do it for a
Right.
month. I'll see if I
Right.
lose 5 pounds.
Exactly. Right.
And
I mean,
then
and then what happens though? Because so I think, relatively speaking, everyone has their own struggles, mindset, things to work through, like medical history, what have you. But generally speaking, losing the weight is so much easier than keeping it off,
right.
right? So whatever mode you're thinking of, like losing the weight, that's so much easier than keeping it off. But keeping it off is where you're healthier, like is where your health is, right? Keeping it off is what increases your heart health. Keeping it off is what lowers your cholesterol. Keeping it off is what improves your gut health. Keeping it off is what balances your hormones. So we want to do something that we're going to lose the weight, but that we're going to keep doing for the rest of our lives to keep it off,
Right. Right.
which is what, yeah.
Because I was gonna say, I'll tell you what happens when the fat diet stops. it's like, say you're doing keto, what happens is, well, I mean, I'll just be real. What happens with me is I get drunk and then I eat like 6 slices of pizza and then the keto's gone. So probably were all the
Yeah.
progress, whatever progress that I made. So that's, I mean,
Yeah.
that's probably what happens to,
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know if that
Steve,
happens to the majority of people, but I'm just
it
saying that's what happens to me.
and it happens to you because you're human,
Right.
because you're a human being, and it happens to everyone, right? You fall off of it, and then typically what happens, right, is that like that one night can then spiral. And so for a lot of people, whatever weight they've lost, they gain back most of the time a little bit more too, because they've now just restricted the foods that they love so much. And they're like, fuck it, I get to eat it again.
Right.
And now they've gained, if they've lost 10 pounds, they usually gain back somewhere between 12 and like 15.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. And then they're like, oh, okay, I have to get back on it. And then you're just stuck on this hamster wheel, roller coaster, yo-yo, whatever we're calling it. It's played out as fuck.
Yeah, it is. It
It's
is.
so played out. It's so played out. So, and it's not getting you closer to where you want to be. In fact, it's like deteriorating your self-trust in the fact that you can take care of yourself for the long term.
Right.
It's undermining you.
Right. It is. And I feel like that happens with a ton. That just happens with a lot of people. And it's like trying to, also sorry if you're hearing that. That is my dog attempting to get into the room, but I locked
We love
the
it.
door.
Well, you're your dog's best friend.
I am.
You, the two of you are best friends.
We are best friends.
I know.
He's my guy. But
He's
I
your
locked.
number one.
He was napping with Alex earlier, and so I shut the door because I thought he was gonna bark and run in here, and I locked it. And now he's trying to get in. I hear him, but not gonna. I can't let him in at the current moment because we're too far into this thing. But let's. But
He's the cutest.
yeah, he's adorable. A couple of my friends there, he's barking at me. A couple of my friends don't actually think he's real. They think he's a stuffed animal because
He's too damn cute.
yeah, he's too cute. It's ridiculous. But
I get it.
but so let's shift gears here on this. So you said you were going back earlier, you started your business after 4 years and you started your business after 4 years, which was amazing. So in that time process, did you have a mentor or do you have mentors in the space? And a mentor could be anybody, it could be a book, if like or a book you read or whatever it is, but do you have one? Do you believe in them? Do you use them?
I 100% believe in them. At the time, I did not have one. What I did do, so I always wanted to, even though I knew I always wanted to open my own practice, I also always, always, always wanted the hospital clinical experience.
Okay.
I'm a total science nerd. I fucking love that shit. And I wanted to be in an environment where I was dealing with people with all different sorts of medical conditions, all different sorts of medical histories. I knew it would make me a better practitioner in my own practice. And I just wanted to do that aspect. But so I was working full time at Mount Sinai. But because I did know, I was not naive in the sense that I did know there's a lot here that I don't know. So I started working part-time as a associate dietitian in someone else's practice to learn the ropes. I would not call her a mentor, but she did have her own practice, and I was learning about how she wasn't a mentor because she wasn't like taking an active role in teaching me and educating me and like mentoring me.
Right.
Right. But I was learning, oh, this is how you do accounting. This is how you set this up. This is how you set up like the nuts and bolts of a health practice, a nutrition practice. Oh, this is how you do some marketing. This is how you do some outreach. Like I was learning and taking lots and lots of notes on that. And then and also it was through that experience that I got to a point where I was like, oh, there's nothing left for me to learn from her.
Right.
There's none, right? Everything I'm going to learn from her, I've soaked up. And that was kind of when I was like, great, I'm going to do this now.
Right.
I'm going to go for it. I do 100% believe in mentors. I find that most of my mentors that I've picked up along the way are not in nutrition.
Okay.
they are in business. I've had a business coach. I've had, like like a spiritual kind of mentor too. I've had other mentors in my life, and still do, but they're not in nutrition. I do have a few colleagues that are dietitians that I really trust, that I'll bounce ideas off of, that will vent to each other. We'll talk about new things. We'll share like the latest research on this. We'll talk about stuff that we're going through, but we're not mentoring each other.
Right. Right. It's funny you say that too, because what I have found as I've gone through this and started a business is that if I guess, I mean, I sound like a broken record on this show saying it, but I don't have official mentors. Like I have people that I look at them as mentors, but they're not in my space, right? I mean, maybe one is a little bit, but they're more business mentors and kind of how to go about dealing with shit that goes wrong.
Yes, absolutely. 100% agree. Because I know a lot about my business. This is my zone of genius. I know a lot about nutrition. I'm also always up to date with like the latest science, latest research. That's part of my sharpening my skills as a dietitian. I'm already doing that all the time.
Right.
What is not my zone of genius is running a fucking business. I don't know.
Right.
Right. So I'm looking for, shocker, there were no business classes in nutrition school. Right. I know.
Why is that surprising?
Right. So my mentors are the people who I think are doing business really well. And even though our services are different, we have the same, like you and I, we're running two very different businesses, but we have the same peaks and valleys and ebbs and flows and pain points that any small business has, any startup business has. Right. So we can relate to each other.
Absolutely.
On all of that. And so agreed. My mentors, again, are people that I know personally and people I don't know personally. I think we both really value Alex Hormozi and Layla Hormozi, right? Yeah. I don't know that. I wish. I'd love to get invited to dessert, right?
Love to hang out with them.
Let's get some dessert with them. They never skip dessert.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, that would like you said, those are people that, you look at, you learn from them just
100%.
Because they're giving out valuable information,
100%.
It's great. We should get dessert with them though.
That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do.
We gotta get in. I'll slide into Alex's DMs.
I think you should.
See if
I could hit up Layla. We'll see what happens.
Perfect.
We'll attack it from both ends.
There you go. And one of us is bound to get a response. So easy.
Easy.
So I know that this has been a great conversation that we're doing.
I love it.
That we're going right now, and I know I'm using up a lot of your time here, but I have to ask this question. So, what does living an awesome life look like to you?
Ooh, that's such a good question. Ooh, living an awesome life looks like surrounding myself with awesome people. I think that's number one. Taking awesomely good care of myself, my health, my self-care routine, like really radically awesome, good care of myself, and awesome vacations, taking like traveling, seeing different cultures, eating different cuisines, like awesome vacations is part of an awesome life, in my opinion.
I love that. That's the vacations part is, I mean, me and my wife travel.
Yeah.
Nonstop. Awesome vacations is actually a really good part of an awesome life. So, and you know what I find? So, and I think this is why, well, that's part of the reason that I love having a business is because when I take a vacation, I always I come back, I feel amazing when I come back from vacation. Like I feel refreshed, but I feel like if you just talk, like even when I was working a full-time job and I'd come back from vacation, I felt like I needed another vacation. I didn't want to go back.
Yeah.
But now I come back, I'm ready to go back to work. I'm rejuvenated and it's incredible. So that's a really incredible answer. And now this is a fun one.
Yeah.
This is a fun one. And
I think they've all been fun.
They've all been pretty fun.
They've all been fun.
But this one is really fun, especially I don't know. Did you go? I missed it. Did you go to YPBN karaoke night?
No, I missed it
I
too.
missed it. So now this is perfect. What's your
Okay.
go-to karaoke song?
Oh, You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette.
Wow. All right, let's go. Let's go.
What's yours?
Oh, mine's Call Me Maybe.
Oh, that's epic.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yeah,
I don't know why. It's just
I love it.
belted. I don't even need the screen. Like I'm good. That you know. So, but
I love
listen,
it.
Bridget, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And this was an awesome conversation. I learned a lot. I'm sure our guests are going to be learning a lot when they listen. But before you leave, can you tell everybody where and how they can find you?
Absolutely. Steve, thank you so much for having me. I love talking to you. I could talk to you for hours and hours on end. This was so fun. Yes. So find me, follow me on Instagram at Brigitte Zeitlin RD. Say hi, slide into my DMs. I'm not Layla Hermosi. I will respond to you. I have fewer followers, so I'm around. I would love to connect with you there. And then you can always go to my website too, bznutritionny.com. I have a couple of resources, recipes, blog posts, tips and tricks, and that would be great for you too.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much. Everybody who's listening, make sure you hit up Bridget and make sure you tune in once again next week. I'll see you next Tuesday.